What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It's Friday, which is awesome because we get the weekend right around the corner. Got one more day to get through, but man, we saw some God of War reviews, and wow, we're going to talk a bit about that because it looks pretty good right now. Nintendo's also partnering with a venture capital company to find ideas around Nintendo Switch, and strangely, some achievements popped up for Xbox Live on the Nintendo Switch. Might be a whole new level to crossplay what we're seeing here. So today, guys, let's get started. So we know Nintendo and the Switch have a bunch of different functions to it. I mean, the Joy-Con controllers, I've taken them apart myself. There's a lot to those things outside of just being a controller with a typical joystick, buttons, and triggers. No, there's a lot going on in there, whether it's the HD Rumble or the motion gyro controls or the IR sensor. We've seen a lot of different companies use these controllers in different ways. Remember, we saw like Resident Evil, for example, use it to reload your gun by tapping the IR sensor. We know that the IR sensor is technically a camera because we see it with the Labo previews. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can do with these controllers. Nintendo seems to know that. So it seems like they're going to be investing more so in the future. In fact, what we're seeing here, where they are partnering with a venture capital group to find different people, startups, things like that, to help them design stuff for the Switch, tells me they are all in pretty much with what the Switch is, and going forward, this design will probably stick around. So the idea here is Nintendo is partnering with Scrum Ventures. They are located in San Francisco, and their job is going to be to kind of pre-screen different startups. And these can be startups from, as they've labeled, bigger companies, maybe divisions in a company that want to pitch an idea for the Switch, universities even, which is really cool, or just smaller startups in general that have a great idea for the Switch. And they're specifically looking for different ways to use the Switch. They say they're not looking for software, so this is not a way to pitch a game idea, mostly an idea for the hardware. Now, a great example from a while ago, I think this was back in 2007 or so, even on YouTube, a person popped up and they had an awesome idea to have like three-dimensional viewing angles on your TV using a Wii Remote and the sensor bar. I think a lot of people remember this because it was a really cool demonstration where it took flat objects on the TV and made them appear to be 3D and even popping off the screen by using head tracking. What a cool idea, and that is a great example for something that would probably be pitched here. Something like that. So think in the lines of, how can we take the Joy-Con controllers, how can we take the tablet and use it in different functions? Something like Labo would have probably been another good pitch that Nintendo probably would have looked at, obviously, because they're creating it. But it seems like Labo maybe got them thinking there's probably a lot of ideas out there for the Nintendo Switch, so let's start finding people. Let's create little think tanks all over the place and have them really pitch ideas to us, and then we'll take it and run with it, and of course, bring them in to create it. So what a cool idea. And here's the thing, stuff that's going to be pitched here isn't going to be stuff we see probably in the next year, 2 years, 3 years even. This could be something towards the back half of the Switch's life. And then going forward, the reason why it's pretty clear now that Nintendo is pretty much sticking with the Switch design, this is something you do ahead of like a system's reveal, for example. You get people in for pitching ideas and stuff. This is something they're going to have going forward for the Switch as a design for years and years now, right? People are going to be pitching ideas for quite a while. So this is something that they are going to continue into the next system that will probably be related to the Switch and going forward. So great. It's going to be interesting to see what people come up with. It's obviously, if you have a bunch of people out there trying to figure stuff out, there's a good chance you're going to come up with something really cool. Next up, let's talk about what showed up on the Switch recently for Minecraft. As we know, Minecraft is getting the Better Together update that most systems have. The Switch is getting it soon as well. Move everything to the Bedrock engine, so pretty much all systems can function together with crossplay. And it looks like the Switch version is getting achievements. It's getting Xbox Live achievements, as in, we already know you have to sign into your Xbox Live account on the Switch, so you'd have to make your own Microsoft account anyway, but it looks like you're going to be unlocking Xbox Live achievements while you're signed in. In fact, there are 79 of these achievements, and it was first shown that I saw on Twitter by a user by the name of Patrick Maka, where they showed a full screenshot of, it's saying Minecraft for Nintendo Switch with a full 1,750 achievement points, and that does break down to 79 achievements. The achievement list was also posted, and you'll be able to unlock these on your Nintendo Switch. What a weird world we live in now, where crossplay is promoted by third-party, even indie companies now, between the Switch, the Xbox, and PC. And now you're going to be able to unlock Xbox Live achievements on the Nintendo Switch. This is the first time I think we've ever seen Xbox Live achievements be on a competing system. Even though they work together a lot, obviously they're competing. There's three big companies, three big systems in the console space, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. And Nintendo and Microsoft are clearly working together, whereas Sony is like, nah, don't need that. So yeah, Xbox achievements on the Nintendo Switch. Who would have thought? Next up, let's talk about the FTC and console warranties. Technically, it's for warranties of all different types of manufacturers, but they do specifically name Nintendo and Sony as examples for warranty breaking language that they use in their different end user agreements, things like that, where they're like, oh, if you tamper with the system by removing the warranty seal, the warranty's voided. That's it, right? We've kind of lived with that for a while. We see warranty stickers on our systems. We know not to pull those off, right? That's pretty clear cut. There's also parts of the warranty information that says things like, don't use this system with a non-compatible product, one that we deem as non-compatible, which could be more than you'd think. I think there are even like third-party controllers that they don't consider as being compatible, which is very interesting. But now, of course, Nintendo says don't use a third-party docs or you'll pretty much destroy your warranty. Well, the FTC doesn't like that. In fact, they have named them specifically. Here, for example, are some examples they used when talking about Nintendo. For example, Nintendo warranty states that this warranty shall not apply if this product is used with products not sold or licensed by Nintendo, or Sony's warranty stating this warranty does not apply if this product has had the warranty seal on the PS4 system altered, defaced, and removed. And that is fascinating because that means, well, you can get your system worked on and it'll still have the warranty intact. That means you could like go to a shop somewhere that does repairs. You could have like the laser replaced like we would do, the fan replaced at times, things like that. And as long as it's within their, their 1 year guideline or something that they provide with the warranty for your system when you first buy it, you're still in warranty. And they've sent letters out to different companies, which we assume, since they've named them specifically Nintendo and Sony, to remove that language from the end user agreement and to remove that language from their websites. They also name things like Hyundai, different car manufacturers, things like that as well. So this is a massive, massive move, because this means when we get a system, like I open that Xbox One X right away, it's still under warranty apparently. So there you go. My Xbox One X is still under warranty, even though I opened it and looked around in there. That means whenever I buy a system now, I'll pretty much be able to tamper with the warranty seal, and I guess the warranty's not broken. This is definitely big for the end user, obviously, since that means that you don't have to worry so much about, the little warranty sticker coming off randomly, or if you are opening it up, or you don't have to worry about, using your product with a non-compliant, as the parent company says, accessory. You're fine, apparently. You're covered. So this is a big move. I like it. And there's the FTC looking out for the Spawnwave channel. Next up, let's talk about Billy Mitchell and Twin Galaxies. Now, if you don't know, there has been a massive controversy going on around scores that essentially don't matter in the real world. However, some of those scores have been entered into things like the Guinness Book of World Records, and that's kind of where it becomes iffy. And then, of course, the overall reliability of Twin Galaxies is pretty much questionable at best at this point, because most of the scores that they did take in seem to be forged in some way or cheated. And after massive scrutiny, oh my gosh, massive scrutiny around some of these, including Billy Mitchell, whose King of Kong score, if you remember the King of Kong documentary, one of my favorite ones to watch, by the way, it had drama, intrigue, it kind of showed a window into a world that a lot of us didn't really know existed to that extent. At the end, it was pretty clear that Steve Wiebe was pretty much going to get the record, and then Billy Mitchell sends in a tape that pretty much makes his null and void because it was a higher score. Well, one of those in particular was one of the issued scores here that appeared to be used in MAME. It looked like he was actually using an emulator that can, of course, be altered in some way. And man, users pored over these tapes and found like the smallest details, from how a level loads to different pixels and everything. They figured it out, and it appeared to be an altered version of MAME. And at this point, all the scores have been scrubbed. None of Billy Mitchell's King of Kong or Donkey Kong scores appear to be up there. They removed them yesterday morning, and it's weird, I will say that, because it seems like a lot. That's probably the most fascinating thing about this whole situation is what people will do to stay at the top of relevancy of something that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. They're essentially cheating to stay at the top of a leaderboard, which is very weird, I think, for a lot of us who look at these. Although, if you're really into esports, things like that, they're, of course, if you cheat, you're just kicked out anyway. So this is, it's competition. And yes, I understand it's not a big deal to a lot of people, but for those that it affects, it's a big deal. I mean, if you have a guy cheating and putting up fraudulent scores while somebody like we saw with Steve Wiebe, who was trying to be fair about the whole thing, driving, across the country or whatever, get there and do everything in person. Yeah, it can be frustrating, so I get that. But at this point, his have all been ripped down, and he was the big person, the big poster child, essentially, of the whole thing. So pretty much no score is safe at this point. If they're ripping his down, they're ripping everybody down who was found to be cheating. So I guess we'll see what happens, but honestly, this was the biggest landmark part of this whole story, was Billy Mitchell's stuff being ripped down. It has been, so I don't really know where Twin Galaxies goes from here. I just don't think they can be taken seriously by any scoring commission or anything anymore. Guinness Book of World Records looks bad just because of them. So, yeah, that score, by the way, that was entered into King of Kong was then entered into the Guinness Book of World Record that year. So, there you go. Twin Galaxies ends up putting a fraudulent score into the Guinness Book of World Records. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, if you really sit down and think about it, it's a leaderboard score that I guess doesn't really matter to most people. And our last bit of news, let's talk about these God of War scores, these review scores, because man, it looks pretty good. It looks like everybody, for the most part, like there's not even like one of those weird outlying scores that you see for games that just happen to get a bunch of high scores. Doesn't look like it. God of War right now is sitting at a 94 on Metacritic, and last I checked, it's also at a 95 on OpenCritic. So it's pretty high. Places like IGN, Easy Allies, Polygon, 10 out of 10s pretty much there across the board. Some are giving it like 9s, 9.5s, as you expect, because a 10 technically is a perfect game across the board. Like, there is no gripe that you can find with it. So I get why some places are going to give it like a 9.5, a 9.75. Because I'm sure if you really sat down and thought about it, there's probably gripes you could find, although I was kind of the same way with Breath of the Wild. There are gripes you can find with that game, pretty much most games, so it is weird to see a 10 out of 10 given out at times, but man, this game looks great, and it really comes at a good time for this franchise, the God of War franchise, that started to really slip with God of War Ascension, and I loved seeing them kind of retool, recreate, rethink the entire game, and doing some pretty crazy things. Getting rid of the jump button sounded crazy to a lot of people, and now we see this heavy story, narrative-driven gameplay here that looks awesome. Seriously, people are saying it was a very emotional trip to really play through this game, and they added like RPG elements in, and they even have a couple different modes for people like me who don't really use a lot of 4K displays, but they add in a performance mode. They give you a better frame rate where it's uncapped and it can touch 60 frames per second a lot of the time at 1080p. That is awesome. And then it has the 4K mode for people who want to take advantage of their 4K TV where it's checkerboarded up. But they did say there were frame drops there. But man, the performance mode, the way the game looks, I am ready to play this game. It's not out till the 20th, and we already have reviews. That kind of tells you how confident they were in this game, and with good reason. The game looks awesome, so I'll be picking it up. Let me know if you guys are picking it up as well down in the comments. This also has a chance, with what we're seeing here with some of these scores, to possibly be the best-selling God of War in the franchise. That would be really cool to see. But hey, I guess we'll find out in the preceding sales charts after the 20th. But definitely, I'm picking it up day one, April 20th. Let me know if you guys are as well down in the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is Nintendo kind of pulling in different startups and universities, and basically anyone who has a good idea for the Switch can kind of go to the Scrum Venture Capital and kind of present it, and they'll kind of screen different ones out. But seems like if you're a startup with a good idea on how you can use the Switch differently, you have a shot. That's really cool to hear, and I really want to see what creative ways people come up with. I mean, we heard about the Labo. Who would have thought about kind of folding up and using cardboard and then finding out that the Joy-Con does some crazy stuff like play piano notes when you hit a key because the Joy-Con can see which key you're pressing sounds crazy to me. Also, let me think about God of War. Of course, are you picking it up? Is that going to be one of the biggest games of the first half of this year? Is that going to be the biggest game of the year? Because there are people saying that this is like a once in a generation type game. Like, it's that good. So I'm in, obviously. I'm sold. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.